Was Chanamak scammed by me, the home manager in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam? So the backstory is Chanamak is an American entertainer and YouTuber traveling in Southeast Asia. He was able to secure his apartment through a home manager called me, a very nice, bubbly, and happy-go-lucky girl here in Vietnam, and they went out, had some pizza pho together, and she seemed very friendly and honest based on what we see on camera. Well, when Chanamak came into the apartment, he didn't like the color on the wall and wanted to paint over it, and he asked me if he could do that. And me said no, because again, she is the home manager, and here in Vietnam, people have a certain way of doing things, and they left the apartment the way it is based on the likings of the homeowner. So me, of course, said no, but Chanamak did it anyway. So upon returning, me saw that the wall was changed, and she had to notify the homeowner, and apparently she wasn't happy. And when the homeowner came, he was even more disappointed and on the verge of rage and anger, because not only was the wall painted a different color, he saw that there was drips of paint around the apartment, including the sink, because he said that Chanamak had painted it and may perhaps cleaned the brush or something in the sink and therefore left some paint residues. So he was very angry. So I want this to be the foundation for this story, because based on his emotion, the homeowner communicate very vaguely throughout the series that we're trying to tackle, which is, did Chanamak actually get scammed? Basically, after a few days of thinking and discussion with me, the homeowner decided to keep the month deposit that Chanamak has given. Now I'm assuming that Chanamak has only given 1 month deposit when he moved in. And me came over and asked for a second deposit, because the first one is basically gone, being attributed or paid toward the adjustment of the wall. So now Chanamak has prepared a small gift for me and her mom, as well as the new deposit, and given to me to give to the homeowner. Because he doesn't speak Vietnamese, there is a little gap in communication, and based on what is captured on camera, it's also very unclear if the homeowner had actually asked for a second deposit or not. So in this case, we'll take me's word at face value, which means they privately spoken, and the homeowner had told her that communicate to Chanamak to give a second deposit. Well, it's understandable because the first one is now gone. Well, fast forward a few more days. Now Lucy comes over, and Chanamak is bewildered by the fact that he cannot come into frequent contact with me, who has been MIA for a few days, and it's got him a little bit worried, because he wants to know if his deposit made it to the homeowner's hands or what happened to it. Of course, it's his money, it's a pretty serious situation. He's a tourist here that doesn't speak any Vietnamese. He wants to be updated. After the Vietnamese lesson, Chanamak walked Lucy out of the door to go home, and he saw the homeowner, so decided to ask Lucy to translate for him. So Lucy came up and asked him, hey, did you get the deposit from Chanamak? So the homeowner told Lucy that yes, he did get both deposits. However, Chanamak has signed up to stay here for 2 months. So when his 2-month lease or term is over, he should move out. So remember that the owner is not very happy with Chanamak at this point for painting the wall. Maybe it created some resentment because he didn't listen to the instruction, or now it created more work because he may have to clean up the paint or paint it again to the original color that he wanted. So the communication was a bit short. Now this is where Lucy went wrong, because she did not ask a follow-up question, because like myself and you guys, Lucy also doesn't know how many months did Chanamak put down in deposit. Was it 1 or 2? Because in the word of the homeowner, he got 2-month deposit and that's it. And now that the 2 months is almost over, Chanamak should just move out. So Lucy should follow up with, hey, so does that mean that when he moves out, he get 1 month deposit back, or does he not get anything back? The secondary deposit that he gave to me, did she hand it you after the whole painting incident? So you can tell in Lucy's eyes during that point that she was a little bit bewildered, she was taken aback. So in my opinion, I don't think Lucy has any ill intention. She was just a little bit lost in the conversation. She didn't know what's going on, and she was kind of afraid or intimidated to ask a follow-up question based on the reaction of the homeowner. So I don't think Lucy has ill intention here. So going back to me, is me a scammer? Based on what I saw and how I feel, the way that she treats China Mac, I don't think she is a scammer. She tried to help him throughout the way and very clear in the communication process, minus the little while that she disappeared through text and phone call. I don't know, maybe she had something going on. But she should have kept him updated so he's not worried about the deposit. When you come to Vietnam and you don't know any Vietnamese, it can be very difficult because in my experience, the people that I've dealt with here, they are not very professional dealing with customers. And even in the video, it shows because the homeowner communicated very vaguely. He should have said, yes, I received the deposit, and when he moved out, and if nothing is changed, I will give him back 1 month deposit. But instead, he showed a lot of emotion. My best advice is when you guys are trying to rent a place in Vietnam and you don't speak any Vietnamese, to find some friends that you can trust that are good with Vietnamese and English to come and translate for you and to even negotiate on your behalf. Because Vietnamese people won't outright scam you for apartments or rental, but they will try to get a little bit more money wherever they can. So for example, if the rental is 16 million, they might say 17 or 18, and then they'll add on additional costs like maintenance or electrical costs. So for example, I rented one apartment that cost 16 million in District 4, and at the end of the month, the homeowner gave me a bill for 1.5 million in maintenance fee and electrical and parking and stuff like that. But when I asked her to break down the electrical costs, she didn't give me a straight answer. She just gave me a vague number, and I asked her, where did you get it from? And she said, that's just how we've been doing things for years. I'm in a group where it's a bunch of homeowners in this building, and we just came up with that number and found that it's a legitimate number to charge the renter. But I told her that's not the way to do things, because when I went online and looked at the governmental website, I saw that there were specific rates for electrical costs that you're supposed to use. Up to a certain amount, you have to use a certain price to calculate it. So after calculations, it was lower than the amount she gave me. So she just apologized and said, you know what, we'll just go with the number you have. I have no idea. It's been the one that I've been charging everybody and no one complained. This is the first time. So you guys have to know that people will try to skim off a little bit more money from you. They won't take like millions of dongs off of you, but they'll try to get 1 or 2 million here and there. So it's always good to bring a Vietnamese person who has your best interest in mind and negotiate on your behalf. So typically you're going to try to save at least 1 to 2 mil, which is around $100 if you go and really try to negotiate. Aside from having a good translator, you do want to go and visit a few places to see what the fair price is for that type of apartment. Also, you want to go there and visit during the day or the night and try to feel out what the place look like, smell like, and feel like. Because sometimes there's sewage smell and there's noise from the neighbor that you can hear, or there's ants and cockroaches climbing around everywhere. Vietnam is just one of those places, even though it's a nice apartment or even newer apartment, you can't avoid the little pests or sometimes like the noise from the lack of insulation. So the best thing to do is go check it out or rent maybe 3 or 4 nights to see how it is and then commit to a long-term lease. So I don't know if China Mac did that, but based on what I saw, he just kind of like came from abroad. He didn't see the place. He put down the deposit with me and said, I'm going to rent this place, and he just came and lived there for a few months. My tips usually is just rent for a few days first and then go check out the place, and take your time with settling down. Vietnamese people are quite honest. They're not going to outright scam you, but wherever they can, they'll charge you a little bit higher, especially if you're a foreigner, because they believe you have more money, and sometimes the Vietnamese price is not the same as the foreigner price. And I'm sure this is typical in Southeast Asia, other countries like the Philippines or Indonesia, Thailand. I'm pretty sure these kind of practices exist, not just with apartment homes, but also with food or other services. You know what I mean? So the locals always going to have a better deal. It's always good to roll out with a local or even send your local friends to check it out and seal the deal for you, and then you can move in if you have a friend and you plan to live together. That's the best way. In my opinion, both me and Lucy does not have any ill intention or any scammy thing going on here, and I think me is truly hurt by the fact that China Mac is kind of like intending that she maybe scammed him or took the deposit. Like I said in my last video, Vietnamese people is all about personal brand and saving face and things like that. So, they hold their pride really high. So I think this is a good time for an apology from China Mac. Maybe get her a little gift or something like that and repair this relationship, because how that vlog ended, she seemed genuinely pissed off and maybe lost a little respect for Chanamak. So in Vietnam, you don't know a friend that speaks Vietnamese and English and that wants the best for you in mind. It can be very difficult. And I think me and Henry will serve as really good confidant for Chanamak for his adventure and his time here in Vietnam. So if I were him, I would definitely go make amends with her, say sorry, and clear everything up. Because clearly, the homeowner did say he got 2-month deposit, and Lucy kind of translated incorrectly based on the information that I got. Of course, the vlog are very short. If there's any further information, I'll let you guys know. If you have any question about rental, living in Vietnam, or any questions about video and Chanamak, let me know in the comment below. But thank you so much, and I hope everything is good for Chanamak through his trip, as well as you guys. If you ever travel to Vietnam, have a fun time and treat everyone well, and hopefully that will be reciprocated. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.